We're back out here at the Big Lake once again, and today we're talking about why the month of November might just be the easiest month all year to catch those big bass. I'll explain everything. Stick around. That feels like grass. That's a fish. That's a good one. That's a good fish. Oh yeah, that's a good fish. Oh yeah, I got him. He's good. He's good. I don't need a net. I'm just going to boat flip him. Ooh, he's pulling drag. Ooh, that's a... Ooh. And here is this video's featured comment. Congratulations! If you would like to have a chance to have your comment featured in an upcoming video, all you've got to do is leave a comment. And now, on with the video. Welcome back to Lowbrow Fishing. And when I said that the month of November can be the absolute best time, easiest time all year to catch those big bass, I absolutely meant it. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, lowbrow, that's crazy. Isn't spring and the spawn, isn't that the best time to catch the biggest bass, to catch your PB? Well, it certainly can be, but let me explain. See, November to me is better, and it's actually a lot better. One, there's way less fishing pressure on your fishery. Far fewer boats, far fewer anglers are out trying to compete with you for those bass. And, you know, that really puts those bass in a much more bite-friendly, a much more aggressive mood towards your baits. So that can be a huge bonus over spring. And two, those bass are fattening up right now on those shad. They're chasing big schools of shad all over the lake. You know, minnows, shiners, bluegill, whatever the prey species is on your fishery, those bass are clumping those fish up, those prey species up into balls to feed on. And you can see it everywhere you look. Every fishery that I've been on in the month of November, you know, it doesn't matter if it's in Mississippi, I've been on some in Tennessee, I've been on some in Arkansas, even in Florida. You know, I've been all around the Southeast and in the Midwest, and I'm telling you what, watching those bass feed can be amazing because you don't know which way to cast. They are so active. It really, really helps. You can be at the bank and they could be right there in front of you, you know. Now, there is a downside. That is, they are always on the move. Those bass are going to be moving because those bait fish are going to be moving. The bait fish don't want to get eaten, so they're constantly on the run. The bass, well, they want to eat them, so they are constantly chasing them. And it's that balance of nature, isn't it? We as anglers, well, we've got to chase the bass. A lot of times, that's going to be the hardest part. But it's not too hard if you know what to look for. And these are some of the things we've already been talking about in prior videos. Things like look for the shallow water that's going to warm up first, especially in the sun. Look for the life. Look for that bait fish, because I guarantee you, you find the bait fish, you are going to find the bass. And when it comes to lures and presentations, so many things are working so many different days. You know, we have days where topwater is the thing. Then I have days where a hard jerkbait or a soft plastic jerkbait are going to be the deal. I have days where a spinnerbait is going to be a deal, you know. Now, you guys know, I've talked about it in the past, I don't like to stick with the same bait over and over and over again because bass have a tendency to get conditioned. I want to be the only guy throwing what I'm throwing if I can help it. Now, if that bait that I'm throwing is what they're keying off on, is what they're going to be biting, well, then I'm going to be throwing that. But if I can mimic that another way, if I can do something similar or something completely different that will still attract their attention, I will do that too. I want to have as many different ways to attract those bass and get those bites as I possibly can. You know, more irons in the fire, as it were. That way, that variety, I feel, maximizes my chances of getting bit. Now, we know that in the past few videos I've been talking about wacky rigs, soft plastic jerkbaits, and hard jerkbaits. Those have been really, really good. Now, the other day, my uncle, who's been on the channel before, he was back in town, and he and I took the little boat out on the lake because the fishing's been good and I wanted to get him out and do a little bit more bass fishing. I don't think he's been since he caught that 8-pounder last year. So we went out and we had a great time. I caught some on the fluke and I caught some on a hard jerkbait. They are in here and they are feeding. I'm gonna see if I can get one. I gotta change my battery though. I think I'm gonna. That feels like grass. That's a fish. That's a good one. That's a good fish. Oh yeah, that's a good fish. Oh yeah, I got him. He's good. He's good. I don't need a net. I'm just gonna boat flip him. Ooh, he's pulling drag. Ooh, that's a. Ooh. You ain't going nowhere, buddy. I got you good. That's a really good fish.
That looks like a really good fish to me.
Yep. He's about 3 pounds. Tell me that's not gorgeous.
That is nice. That was a weed.
Yep. You got to fix your hook. Your hook is all kinds of discombobulated.
Looks like a full rally.
There we go. I got him.
You got him?
Yeah. Oh, he feels good. He feels good.
Makes me kind of like I need a net.
Nah, I don't need a net. I just boat flip them. Another nice one. 2 pounds. Another nice 2-pound bass. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. I told you they were right here. So that was a nice couple of fish. And those fish, the fun part about them is even the ones that would normally be a pound or a pound and a half are much heavier because they're little footballs, they're little butterballs. And today really exemplified that. Well, in the last video, you saw that I talked about spooks being the deal, topwater being the deal. Those bass were exploding on a topwater spook, and it was over and over and over again. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. And none of those fish were tiny. Even fish that were 14 and 15 inches long, well, they were a pound and a half or better because of how well they've been eating. And when they're eating like that, they're super aggressive. The topwater was the deal. Now today when I got out, well, I'd noticed that those fish had moved. I was expecting that. Like I said, they chased the bait all over the lake, but I knew that they had to be close by. I knew from the seasonal patterns and the seasonal changes and, knowing this fishery the way that I do, I knew where to look, to start looking and covering water and catching bass. At first, well, I started with this. I actually have a boot tail trailer on this spinnerbait, which is rare for me, but I'm trying to mimic that shad, that bait fish as much as I possibly can. And, a little small school of them, which is, this is like the little bitty A-rig. This is the thing that started the umbrella rig or the Alabama rig. That's what's based on this. It's just a scaled up version of this on steroids. So those bass are chasing those bait fish. This obviously is going to be a great way to mimic that. Started casting it out there, and second or third cast, I actually got a pretty good follow. And he nipped at it right at the boat. Not a huge bass, not a giant of a bass, but it was still fun to see. That told me that I had the right idea. I needed to keep working with it, needed to keep the retrieve down, find out exactly where they wanted, and before long, I hit the jackpot and caught a really nice butterball of a bass. Working that spinnerbait at pretty much a snail's pace. The idea here is We know those bass are chasing bait. We know they are chasing little schools of minnows. So, let's see if we can't get them to strike our spinnerbait. Ooh, that was a hit. I got him. That's a good one. Okay, not a great one, but these things are so heavy now. They've been feeding up so good. Nice little bass, nice little gorgeous bass right there. On the spinnerbait. That was a good catch right off the bat. Pound and change, nice. Thank you, buddy. So as I said in the last video, topwater, boy howdies, spooks, that was the deal. And today they kind of wanted something a little bit shiny, a little bit sparkly that was mimicking those bait fish they were chasing. So obviously a buzz bait had to come into play. Like I said, I could have kept going with the spook, I could have kept going with the boy howdy, but I wanted to change things up just to keep those bass on their toes. Now this, I've got a Berkley Pit Boss as the trailer. It worked fine, it worked great. Now the thing about a buzzbait is, if you're not familiar with how to work them, they can be kind of a nuisance at first because you basically have to click your reel and activate it right as that bait hits the water, because these don't float. And as you can see, I've got my dedicated topwater rod today. This has got 15-pound monofilament, old Shimano reel on a 7-foot medium heavy Duckett rod. And this thing did great work for me today. And again, it wasn't long and I was onto some nice bass. Got him on the buzzbait. He's not huge by any means. In fact, he's kind of a, I don't know, he's a butterball for sure. He is definitely a butterball. Definitely a little butterball. Wow, look how fat that guy is. You can tell he's been feeding up for the fall. I'll get my camera straight. You can tell this little joker here has been feeding up for the fall. What would normally be about a 1-pound bass is probably about 1.5 pounds. He has been feeding up good. Thank you, little buddy. We sure do appreciate that. All right, let's see if we can't get another one. So there you have it. The month of November can not only be the easiest time to catch numbers of bass, but those really big girls too, as they chase bait fish all around the fishery and gorge up for the winter. Now, if you're willing to put in a little bit of work and chase those bass around, you can really be rewarded with some great fishing. I know I have. I've had a great time this November, and I know you can too. Thanks for watching Lowbrow Fishing. We'll catch you in the next one.